What's up, guys? Part-time Gamer Dad here, and today I'm going to give you my predictions for AEW Worlds End happening this Saturday, December 28th from Orlando, Florida. So looking at this card, there's a few intriguing matchups. What I want to do to start is talk about the Continental Classic. So starting us off, we have Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher in the rematch. Obviously, the match at Full Gear was a very career-defining match for Kyle Fletcher. Will Ospreay really just sold him like $1 million, and it was a great job by Ospreay on that. Obviously, Fletcher has been running through the tournament, and I think this is where we see Ospreay get the win back, because when I think about the way that the finals could shake out, I don't see a world where we have Fletcher versus Ricochet or Fletcher versus Okada. Those matchups would be great. I'm just trying to keep my logical hat on. And so I think what we're going to see is Ospreay beat Fletcher, and then we're going to see Okada successfully defend the championship against Ricochet in the other semifinal match, because we already saw Ricochet versus Ospreay in the tournament proper. And so I think we're going to get Okada versus Ospreay. It's a great callback to New Japan days, and also a match that I don't think it's happened in AEW yet, right? So I mean, like, this is a great opportunity to have these two run it back. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be to the same level as their New Japan matches, but hopefully I'm wrong. And I would have Will Ospreay win here. Now, I know everybody thinks that Ospreay is like, you know, a little over celebrated, overbooked. Regardless of what you think, the guy's amazing, and Okada hasn't done a whole lot with the championship. And so get it on somebody like Ospreay, who's obviously going to be in weekly television, obviously going to be on every single PLE, and we'll put on bangers on every single show he's on, and kind of bring some other people to the spotlight in terms of a Continental Championship defense. I do think it is a step back away from maybe getting him to the heavyweight title, which it seems like that's kind of the path eventually down the road. But I think for the current ecosystem of AEW, where the Continental Classic currently is, have Okada defeat Ricochet, have Ospreay defeat Fletcher, have Okada versus Ospreay in the final. To close out the show, have Ospreay win the title from Okada. Next up, we have Mariah May defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight. Now, I think this is probably the match that's the easiest to predict, right? I think this match is one where you consider the fact that with the Women's World Championship, they almost kind of telegraph who the title's going to go to next. And so I think we're going to see Mariah May pretty solidly defend it here and retain, with Mina Shirakawa being the person who's going to take the title from her down the road. So not a whole lot to say about this match. I'm sure it'll be good, but I do have Mariah May walking away, and this is probably, if I was doing confidence points, a la going in a Raw with Steven Larson, our friend of Club Wrestling, I would probably say all my confidence points on this, but I'm just going to give you straight up predictions. And then this one, I have Mariah May defending her title successfully. Let's talk about the other women's match at AEW Worlds End. It's for the TBS Championship. It is Chris Statlander challenging Mercedes Moné. Again, I think this is one of those situations where Mercedes Moné, she's going to lose the title to Camille, although they haven't done a whole lot with building up Camille to be the person to take the title from Mercedes since the breakup, which makes me almost think, like, was that, you know, a work, if you will, in kayfabe, that they're actually still like friends behind the scenes and Camille's going to help her retain. It's hard to say. Maybe Camille's the one who cost Mercedes the title. I think Mercedes retains, because I'm really holding on to the idea that Camille is going to be the one to beat her for that title. But whether it's a, you know, assist from Camille or it's just straight up, I would think Mercedes is going to retain. I think Chris Statlander, you want to keep her around as a potential opponent for the Women's World Championship. There's also not a whole lot of viability to having Statlander go away from the TBS division, because there's not a whole lot of people that are great contenders outside of maybe Willow. And also people are clamoring for Willow and Chris Statlander to have a Women's World Championship feud in the new year. So I will have Mercedes Moné go over, but Camille's probably going to be waiting around the corner at Revolution to take the title from her. Next up, we have Konosuke Takeshita defending his AEW International Championship against Powerhouse Hobbs. I think Takeshita is going to continue to go on a tear. He's been just crushing it as a wrestler really over the last year and a half, ever since that first initial match with Kenny Omega. And so I really like how he's being presented. I also like how Powerhouse Hobbs is being presented. And, you know, I start looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, I've got one title change booked. I think that's going to make it even more impactful when the Continental Championship is won by Ospreay at the end, which that might have given spoilers for some other things. But I think I do have Takeshita winning against Powerhouse Hobbs, successfully retaining the International Championship. My only concern is Powerhouse Hobbs comes back as a babyface. People love him. He's got a lot of charisma, and he's the total package. So could I see them putting the title on Powerhouse Hobbs? Absolutely. And have Takeshita go after the TNT title, world title, who knows? But for now, I think we see Takeshita continue this run a little bit longer. And I'm not really sure who will take the title off of him if it's not Powerhouse Hobbs. But you could have a number of guys come and challenge him at Revolution. They love to do ladder matches at Revolution, so maybe they have that for the International Championship. Number of ways to go about this. But I don't think I would like to see Takeshita be pinned straight up one-on-one, especially by somebody like Powerhouse Hobbs right now in his title run. Next up, we have MJF against Adam Cole, who's going to be accompanied to ringside by Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. This is for the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. And, I mean, logically, it makes sense for Adam Cole to win because of the story they've told, right? And the story is, I mean, at this point, it's so convoluted with babyface and heel dynamics, with MJF really falling off ever since he lost the AEW World Championship 1 year ago at the last AEW Worlds End. And so I'm thinking through, like, who do you have win this? I honestly think Adam Cole will lose. I think MJF wins, and the reason being that when you consider, like, Roderick Strong and how he fits in all this, and Kyle O'Reilly, I think Undisputed Kingdom might turn their back on Adam Cole, which would be interesting. That'd be interesting that 1 year on from the last World's End, that they would turn their back on Adam Cole and let MJF beat him when last year they screwed him out of the world title. Interesting storytelling. I think that's the only way you can keep this going viably and kind of push MJF back up the card. I think if you were just going to go straight up one-on-one, MJF will lose. But I think there's going to be a lot of storytelling here, and I think they want to, like, kind of keep the Undisputed Kingdom storyline and all the interwoven elements of all the different personalities with Adam Cole, Roger Strong, Kyle O'Reilly. So I actually have MJF retaining the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. Which brings us to the AEW World Championship. I love it when they do these multi-man matches for the World Championship. We have Jon Moxley defending the title against Orange Cassidy, Hangman Adam Page, and Jay White. Jay White and Adam Page have been having some great matches the last few pay-per-views. Obviously, Orange Cassidy kind of coming to the forefront of AEW to say, hey, Death Riders, I stand in opposition to you. And I love that. And I would love for Orange Cassidy to win the world title. I'd love for Jay White to win the title. I'd even like for Hangman Page to win it a second time. It's just not going to happen. Like, this is going to continue to be the Jon Mox show. And I don't think we see anybody beat him for the AEW World Championship until Darby Allin. And the reason is because if you remember at the end of the last PLE or pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, Darby Allin, he confronted the Death Riders. He confronted Jon Moxley. And there's clearly a story that they're telling here that Darby Allin is going to be the one to come back and dethrone Jon Moxley and kind of put an end to them running roughshod all over AEW. I think that happens at Revolution. I did a video a while back that you can watch where I was trying to determine AEW's WrestleMania, and I really think it's Revolution based on all the things that I measured it upon. So I think Jon Moxley retains the title here, and then at Revolution we have the match. We have Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley, an exploding barbed wire match. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think we're going to have a banger of a match between those two at that time, and Darby Allin will then win the AEW World Championship. That gives it a couple more months for things to breathe and for there to be higher stakes implemented. This is an easy match for Moxley to get away with a clean but like controversial win. Like maybe Jay White hits Hangman Page with a Blade Runner, and then Orange Cassidy comes in to try to stop Jay White from getting the pin, but then Jon Moxley scoops it up at the last second. Number of ways you can do this, right? So I have Jon Moxley retaining the AEW World Championship with Darby Allin waiting in the wings to take it from him at Revolution. All right, guys, those are my predictions for AEW Worlds End. Let me know in the comments down below what you have predicted for the show. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you very soon.